16 December 1971 was the day when the Indian army brought the Pakistani army to its knees and took 93,000 Pakistani prisoners. On this day, 50 years ago, Pakistan lost half of its country, its forces in the east, and had to publicly surrender to India. It was the largest military surrender after World War II. Can you imagine? This war just lasted 13 days, where India fought one of the shortest and most decisive wars in history in 1971. It gave 75 million people in Bangladesh their independence. This is an untold story of India-Pakistan War of 1971. In this video, I'm going to tell you how this war started, what made Pakistan break into two parts, what strategy did India follow to beat Pakistan, how did India play a crucial role in one of the most humanitarian wars in history. But before we dive into that, let me ask you this: do you know why Pakistan was split into two regions in the first place? If you do, drop a comment below, and if you don't, stay tuned to find out. Hello and namaste everyone, I'm Shahana, back with another interesting video on defense. Let me take you back to 1947, when India and Pakistan were partitioned on religious lines by the British government. It consisted of two regions, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, separated by more than 1,000 miles of Indian land. The two regions had nothing in common except for their faith, Islam. West Pakistan was ruled by Urdu-speaking Muslims who had all the political and military power, whereas East Pakistan was home to most of the Pakistan's population, mostly Bengali-speaking Muslims and Hindus. The trouble started in 1948 when the Pakistan government declared Urdu as the only official language of the country, ignoring the culture and language of the Bengalis. This sparked a massive protest movement in East Pakistan known as the Language Movement, which demanded recognition of Bengali as an official language. The movement was brutally crushed by the Pakistani army, killing hundreds of students and civilians on February 21, 1952. The tension increases further in 1970 when the first general elections were held in Pakistan. Awami League, a secular and nationalist party led by Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, won a landslide victory in East Pakistan, securing 160 out of 162 seats. On the other side, the Pakistan's People Party, led by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, won 81 out of 138 seats in West Pakistan. However, instead of accepting the democratic verdict, the Pakistan military junta led by General Yahya Khan refused to hand over power to Mujib and his party. They also rejected Mujib's 6-point agenda, which called for more autonomy and rights for East Pakistan, including greater federalism, the right to keep an independent military, the transfer of fiscal authority to the federating regions, and separate convertible currencies. But each of these demands was a reaction to the West's linguistic, cultural, and economic dominance. The Bengalis were isolated from the military and bureaucracy, and it was West Pakistan's intentional and persistent efforts to deny them their rightful share of political power. So, the political elitists in the West, led by General Yahya and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, took it as an indirect call for an end to all the government activities. And this is why, on 25 March 1971, the Pakistani army launched Operation Searchlight on East Pakistan. It created havoc in the region by targeting political leaders, intellectuals, students, journalists, religious minorities, and civilians, killing thousands of people and raping women. Not only this, they also unleashed paramilitary forces such as Razakars and Al-Badr, who collaborated with the Pakistani army and committed atrocities against their own people. This genocide has took 3 lakh to 3 million lives in East Pakistan. Knowing about all these atrocities, on 26 March 1971, Mujib declared the independence of Bangladesh from his prison cell in West Pakistan. He also formed a provincial government in exile in India, which was recognized by India and several other countries. He delivered a message on radio calling his people to fight for their freedom. This is why you see the Bengali people formed a resistance movement called the Mukti Bahini Liberation Army, which fought against the Pakistani occupation forces with guerrilla tactics and sabotage operations. This violence triggered a huge exodus of refugees from East Pakistan to India. As the refugees began fleeing into India, India had to face the pressure and created a huge problem for the Indian government. Despite facing this problem, India did not jump into this war. India decided to intervene militarily in support of Bangladesh after Pakistan Air Forces launched a series of air raids on Indian Air Force air bases and radar stations operations in the western sector on 3rd December 1971, primarily Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and Rajasthan. These airstrikes were launched under Operation Genghis Khan by Pakistan Air Forces against Pathankot and Amritsar air bases of Indian Air Force in the first wave of the attack. The runways of Pathankot and Amritsar air bases were damaged in this attack, as was the radar stations at Amritsar. In the second wave of attacks, air bases in Srinagar and Avantipuram in Jammu and Kashmir were attacked by Pakistan Air Forces.
Pakistan launched a full-scale war against us. The Pakistan Air Force suddenly struck at our airfields in Amritsar, Pathankot, Srinagar, Avantipur, Uttarlai, Jodhpur, Ambala and Agra.
India now got a solid point to engage with Pakistan and teach them a lesson. This marked the official start of the Indo-Pak War of 1971. In the same year, India also signed a strategy of friendship and cooperation with the Soviet Union on 9 August 1971, which ensured Soviet diplomatic and military support for India against any possible interventions by the United States or China. And at this point, India got support from Soviet Union. Therefore, India's strategy in the war was based on three main objectives. First, to liberate Bangladesh from Pakistani occupation. Second, to protect India's own security interest. Third, to achieve a quick and decisive victory. So to achieve these objectives, India employed a combination of military strategies, including airstrikes, naval blockades, and ground offensives. India launched airstrikes on Pakistan's air bases, radar stations, fuel depots, and other strategic targets, destroying Pakistan's air superiority and disrupting its communication and supply lines. India used MiG-21 fighter jets in the airstrike against Pakistan. The Indian Air Forces had 8 squadrons of MiG-21s, 3 in the eastern front and 5 in the western front, and it was successful. The second one, India imposed naval blockades on both the eastern and western coasts of Pakistan, cutting off its sea access and trade, and also attacked Pakistan ports, ships and oil installations, crippling its naval power and economy. India used Seahawk fighter jets and missile ships for naval blockades. The Indian Navy also launched 2 large-scale operations, Operation Trident and Operation Python, against the Pakistani main port Karachi, causing significant damage to the harbour and fuel tanks. And the third one, ground offensives. India launched ground offensives on both the eastern and western fronts, using its superior numbers, equipments and training to overwhelm Pakistan's forces. India also coordinated with the Mukti Bahini, who provided crucial support on the ground and captured key towns, bridges and strategic points, advancing towards Dhaka, the capital of East Pakistan. Humanitarian concerns are also important. India was moved by the plight of Bangladesh people and the refugees who faced genocide and oppression by Pakistan. India wanted to end the humanitarian crisis and restore peace and stability in the region. And the next, India wanted to prevent Pakistan from becoming a dominant power in South Asia and a threat to India's security. Finally, the war ended on December 16, 1971, when the Pakistani army in East Pakistan surrendered to the Indian army and the Mukti Bahini because it had no chance to avoid it. The surrender ceremony was held at the race course ground in Dhaka, where the Pakistani commander, Lieutenant General A.K. Niazi, signed the instrument of surrender in front of the Indian commander, Lieutenant General Jagjit Singh Arora. About 93,000 Pakistani soldiers and officers became prisoners of war, the largest number since World War II. The war resulted in the liberation of Bangladesh, which was formally recognized by Pakistan on February 22, 1974. It was too late. However, the war also marked a major shift in the balance of power in South Asia, as India emerged as a regional power and a leader of the non-aligned movement. The war also had a lasting impact on the relations between India and Pakistan, as well as between India and its neighbors. The War of 1971 was not only a military victory for India and Bangladesh, but also a moral victory for humanity. It showed how India stood up for justice and freedom and helped a nation achieve its destiny. It also showed how Bangladesh emerged from the ashes of genocides and oppression and become a proud and sovereign country. What do you think of this amazing story? Do you know any other facts or details about the War of 1971? And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel for more such videos. Thanks for watching.